What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're gonna do our first look at our E5 Phorcys. So if you didn't check it out, make sure you go check out the summoning video first. We do have some decent setups for stones on him as well, so we got a speed attack. We do have to figure out what artifact we're gonna use, but we're definitely building him seed because he is like essentially the fastest hero in the game. Yeah, essentially. He's Ada status, essentially. He's got really high base speed, which is 1238. The only other hero that is that high, I believe, is, yep, Ada right there. Because technically the Transcendence heroes are, oh wait, 1286, hold on. Wait, what was that? Okay, yeah, so the Transcendence are faster, that's what I thought. But yeah, Ada is essentially third in line, and now this new hero Phorcys is right there as well. So let's figure out how we want to run this hero. Do we want to run a speed, or do we want to run something like a Demon Bell? My first guess is probably use something along the lines of Demon Bell. So let's throw that on him, and we're gonna do some interesting lineups here. So they are very dark oriented because, let's be honest, that's just what we do. Wow, I have not updated this lineup in a while. That is my mistake. Sorry. Oh man, how did I still have this lineup in there? Whoops, that could be why we're losing some PvP fights. Leave it up to Barry Gaming, right? So let's see if we can find some other E5 teams here. We might have to go to our friends list to find some decent fights, because most other players on this server are not that well set up. So, Fish Bunny, yeah, I figured Fish Bunny is going to be one of the best ones to go up against. So, let's throw in our squad here and see what can happen. I'm interested to see how we do against Rogans. This is like the perfect setup. We're probably going to take it a little slow here just to see what happens. So, big active off, which does a ton of damage. Now, let's see what happens when the Rogan, wow. Just melted that one. Let's see what happens end of round when yeah, so that was pretty much the buffs getting converted into insane amounts of damage. And again, remember, this is a 0 Phorcys right here. Rivaling our ticks, and you can see how much damage the other Phorcys is doing as well. I mean, in the Rogan meta that we have right now, I feel like he's going to do very good with speed. Or not speed, just speed setup, but with an active in round 1. This is kind of disgusting. I mean, granted, our ticks are definitely also helping us here, but I mean, you can kind of see the star of the show, even compared to the ticks in PvP, is the Phorcys. And this is pretty much what I was kind of expecting, that Phorcys was going to be a powerhouse in PvP. But at the end of the day, ticks is probably still going to be better when you're talking about things like Aspen Dungeon, Vortex. We will give him a try in those as well later this week to see how he kind of shapes up. But let's try to put more of a lineup in than I feel like an average player might be able to have. We'll still throw in a ticks. I mean, something like this. It's very unoptimal, right? It's not like it's a triple ticks double carry type setup with him. Let's see if it makes a difference. I mean, that active is just so powerful from Phorcys. So powerful. That end of round damage is just crazy. And we're going to go over his skills here in a second, but I wanted to make sure you guys saw him in action first. Let's just run it one more time. Again, yes, we have like a full dark setup here with a V4 ticks, or almost V3 ticks. But one thing is the end of round damage right there. You see that huge burst of damage that is coming from Phorcys. That is coming from his abilities, and it's essentially the Rogans that are just killing the entire team. I don't know if anybody else on our server has like a solid lineup. That was not bad. Let's go against Big Dog next. Let's take a look here and see what happens. The only bad thing would be, of course, a carry sniping our Phorcys, but Phorcys is going to go first in the Demon Bell versus Demon Bell meta kind of pretty much that we got here. So I mean, if we get to the end of the round, you notice they're not really taking any damage now. Well, that's because they don't have any buffs. And if they don't have any buffs, they're not going to take damage from Phorcys end of round, which is where most of his damage comes from. We might actually lose. Yeah, we're going to lose to all these Sherlocks. Good old Sherlocks, guys. He still can do some amazing stuff. So let's go against Big Dog again and throw in more of our main lineup just to see. We tried to be nice. We tried to be. Well, let's see what happens if we throw our main squad in against Big Dog. So we got that on there. See, the one difference in this lineup is the enemy team really doesn't have any buffs per se. So that end of round damage that is honestly what Phorcys is all about, it doesn't do anything. So this is pretty much going to continue the counter meta that we're in, where Phorcys is going to heavily counter Scarlet Queen and Rogan. But then if you come across lineups like this, doesn't really do as much. It actually doesn't do a single thing because there's 0 buffs going around here. Not a single buff. I mean, we did win, but you'll notice he still did a lot of damage. That's just coming from his basic and active, but you would have really popped off if they actually had buffs. So, taking a look at the hero so you guys can understand what we are talking about. His active, Imminent Doom, which is really what he's completely built around, in my opinion. So the active skill is going to deal 800% of damage against 4 random enemies with a 100% chance to remove 1 attribute buff from the enemy and inflict 3 layers of Curse of Decay. So Curse of Decay is what's really awesome here. When it is triggered, or is triggered when the enemy receives an attribute buff. Once triggered, each layer of Curse of Decay offsets 1 attribute buff and deals 1500% of attack in damage. That is crazy. That is ridiculous. That's why at the end of the round, when Rogan applies all his buffs to his team, they just die. So, one thing I am going to check out is we're going to try running our old school Russell Rogan setup and see if we just obliterate our team against enemy Phorcys. So we're going to jump over to our main account here in a minute. But this right here, Curse of Decay, is what he's all about. His basic attack is okay. It hits for 600% attack, which is strong against the enemy with the highest attack and reduces them 25% of all damage dealt. Not all damage reduced, all damage dealt. So it doesn't matter if it's any type of damage. Any type, it affects it. And then lastly, his Soul Resonance is when the round ends, he will deal damage to all enemies equal to 8% of their max HP, up to 1500% attack, which is pretty cool. And inflicts a layer of soul corruption that lasts 6 rounds. So you essentially can lower the enemy team's HP pool by up to 40%. So let's see if we can actually see that. That's one thing I did not show off. Let's go back against Fish Bunny. And let's see if we can watch at the end of the round. Because that's also contributing to them dying round 1, is they're losing health and they're taking damage from that as well. So let's see if we can actually see what it looks like end of round. See how they lost that health there? The one thing is it's hard to tell. Because I think the health bars don't shrink like they did in the demo video. Which I really wish they would have. But, yeah, I mean, we're going to lose here anyway. Yeah, we lose. But it's mainly the Phorcys doing all that damage. Phorcys ticks, they're an awesome combo together. So let's jump on over to the light account. And I want to show you guys what it looks like against the old school Russell Rogan team. Okay, so I did find a guildmate that has a Phorcys on his team, so I think that is going to be the one we fight just to see what happens here. So yeah, I think, you know what, we could put it up against this main lineup here. Let's actually do that because there's so many Rogan buffs. Let's just see what happens to our team. Hopefully he gets an active off. Good, he does have energy, so that does mean he's in a good spot to pretty much wreck most of our heroes here. Let's see what happens at the end of the round, though. That is if he lives. Actually, no. Even if he doesn't live, I think it still counts. So, let's see. I think we're getting very close to end of round. Ignis should be the last one to attack here, I believe. Oh, we got another Rogan attack. All right, here we go. This should be end of round. Let's see what happens. He did die. But we do have a bunch of buffs here. Oh, it didn't do that much damage. I'm actually really surprised that happened. Maybe it's just because our team is like ridiculously powerful. It could be it. Maybe he probably has to live more than 1 round for it to actually be a thing. So, Benno, Bayo. Sorry, I always say Benno. I don't know why. Bayo, I'm really sorry about that. I had to hit you. I think we actually have you on our friends list though. Ooh, wait, there's another one right there. We can hit Abo. Let's see what happens in this type of lineup. We could also try it against the Russell type setup, but again, it seems like everybody is running him with energy though. Actually, no, he is running with energy. Okay, cool. So we got buffs coming here. Let's see what happens at the end of round. Do we have a big burst of damage against our team? That is if our team doesn't die, or if he doesn't die. Yeah, I mean, it didn't do that much damage. So as far as what we're talking about as the counter Rogan meta, I guess it depends on what the team actually consists of and how many rounds you go, because I mean, you just saw there, he got an active off round 1. It didn't do that much. So what I'm thinking is, because in round 1 the only buffs that the rogues are really putting out are a speed buff for the most part, it's only going to deal damage for 1 stack of speed. It's not going to like take the whole stack of speed off, I don't believe. Let's see if we can take a look at it, because we also have to remember the active instantly removes 1 buff from the enemies that are hit. So let's see if we're just going to take it slow because I want to make sure we actually see what happens. So most of them have about 6 stacks of speed and 4 of attack. So yeah, basically what's happening here, so let me just pause it. What happened there on the active use, it instantly removes 1 whole stack of attack. So that's what happened to this Rogan here. The active first, before anything else, removes a buff, which I think is kind of counterintuitive at this point, since you want them to have buffs for the Curse of Decay. But what happened there is this Rogan lost his attack buff the entirety. So what's going to happen now, let's watch it one more time. See it one more time in action. So as you can see, like most of them have 6 speed, 4 of the I don't know if it's crit. I think it's crit, right? I think it's crit chance is what that buff is. So right there, you'll notice that time it took the speed buff off. It doesn't do damage for that because it's the Curse of Decay that you see under the feet. You see this kind of like the horse horns essentially under the feet. That right there is that Curse of Decay. And what that's going to do is then remove buffs at the end of a round and turn that into damage. So you see how that just kind of, it did nuke some people down. Did it do an absolute ton of damage? Not necessarily. But yeah, you can kind of see how those things interact. Is it a 100% counter to Rogan's? As one hero, no. Maybe if you had multiple of them, it would be different. We will be testing that out this weekend, so definitely stick around. But as far as building one version of this hero for PvP, I mean, he can be decent. Again, we were in the extreme endgame right there when we were using our Phorcys, or going against the Phorcys. He's decent. He's good. When you're in like a less optimal setup, I think he's going to be really, really strong. But as far as completely countering Rogan's, as you kind of saw there, I would say probably no. I guess one thing we can take a look at is just see if anybody actually built multiple, but I highly doubt it on this server that anybody is building multiple. I think a lot of people are waiting for Chinese New Year, so we will try to do a breakdown of the event as well and see if it's a hero worth building. But first, let me get back on our other account. We're going to do some Aspen Dungeon. We're going to try to do some low-level Sea Land. We're going to try to do Vortex with him as well. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Again, PvP, pretty solid hero. Is he top tier? Maybe. But let us do more testing. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.